I'm going to talk a little bit about written music today. I've told you before, just verbally and in other ways, I'm going to try to make another point here. There are 7 letter names that go with music. We have A, we have B, C, D, E, F, and G. Now you probably notice I spaced those out funny. There's no space right here between the B and the C. And there's no space right here between the E and the F. That's because there's 12 total notes, even though there's only 7 letter names. You have sharps and flats, and they go between many, but not all, of the notes. And you notice I'm going there because this thing goes like this. And it goes on and on and on. Okay? If it's a sharp, it associates with the note below it, and it makes that note higher by a half a step. If it's a flat, it associates with the note above it, and it makes that note lower by a half a step. But whether it's a sharp or a flat, it's referred to as enharmonic, E-N-H-A-R-M-O-N-I-C. And that means 2 names for 1 note or sound. Okay? So, we can have an A, we can have an A sharp, we can have a B flat. The A sharp and the B flat are the same note. We can have a B, and it goes on like that. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 unique tones, okay, that are possible to us in the music that I'm teaching and speaking of. Now I'd like to point out that these spacings are also the exact same spacings as are represented when you look at a piano keyboard. Every place where I have written the sharp and flat symbol, that's a black key. Those places where I have not written a sharp or flat symbol, like here, those are the places where there are no black keys. On a piano, there is no black key between the B and the C. There is no black key between the E and the F. There is no such note as B sharp or C flat, as E sharp or F flat. There's a kind of a fudge factor to that because people create these bizarre scales and will toss around terms like C flat or B sharp. When you get to a certain entirely theoretical level of music theory, yes, it's out there. I'm never going to go there with these courses, and if you're at enough of a beginning level that my courses can be of value to you, you probably will not ever need to concern yourself with a B sharp or a C flat. I haven't made a strong study of the history when these notes were named or how these things happened, so I can't tell you. I can tell you there are certain oddities about this. For instance, if you want to play a scale without any sharps or flats, logic would tell you that you'd start on the A because that's the original starting point. But that won't work. You can't play a scale without sharps or flats if you start on A, not a major scale. You can only play a major scale without sharps or flats if you start on the C note. We've discussed this extensively over the course of these classes, and I trust that if you've forgotten that, you know where to go back and find it. But, as I've said, from your first to your second note in a scale is a whole step, which means you have to jump over this half step, and then you have another whole step, so you have to jump over this half step. Then you have an interval that is only a half step. Well, this from E to F is only a half step. From F to G is a whole step. From G around to A is a whole step. From A to B is a whole step, and your final half step that's required to get back to your starting point is right here. So, any scale that does not begin and end on C and is a major scale will have either sharps or flats in it. And how you can tell which ones have sharps or flats and how you can calculate those goes with a process called the circle of fifths, and we will address that soon. Thank you. These notes that are represented by these letters that I've written here are also represented by dots on these patterns of lines. There are 5 lines and 4 spaces. That's called a musical staff. I'm going to be speaking in terms of what's called the treble clef. It's usually represented with something that looks roughly like that that's drawn on it. And that is the portion of the staff that is used in written music to represent the notes that lie above the center of a full 88 key piano. The center note on an 88 key piano is called middle C. The treble clef is used to represent all the notes above middle C. Now they won't all fit on there. So one thing they do is they draw lines above and they draw lines below to give them more space to represent those notes. I'm not going to go very far into that yet, but I'm going to let you know that exists. The note on the bottom space is an F. The note on the second space is an A. The note on the third space is a C. The note on the fourth space is an E. Spells the word face. That's something that they teach when you're first learning your notes. The notes can be represented by an open circle. That's a whole note. The condition of the circle, whether it's open or closed, it has flags on it and things, that condition tells you the duration of the note. So we have 2 things we're telling you here. We're telling you what pitch the note is by which space it's drawn on, and we're telling you the duration of the note. If it's an open circle, it's a whole note. It gets 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. If this is written in 4/4 time, then that would be 1 whole measure of 4 beats. If we put a stick on that, and it can go either down or up, but never both, that makes it a half note. A half note is, imaginatively enough, half as long as a whole note. 2 beats. So this one gets 1 2 beats, and this one gets 1 2 beats, and the 2 of them together constitute a whole measure. If we fill it in and put a stick on it, it becomes a quarter note, and that's one beat. And it takes 4 of those. So we'll just go right back down. We have F, A, C, E. So we'll just have E, C, A, F. And that makes a whole measure. 1, 2, 3, 4 beats. All right? What about the lines? Well, the lines have notes associated with them. And those notes are E, G, B, D, and F. E, G, B, D, and F. And the mnemonic, that's the phrase you learn to remember that, is every good boy does fine. Those of you who are of the other gender know that every good girl does well better than fine. So don't feel bad. You know, we've worked our way up to fine. Let us have it. We're grateful for it. Okay. Now, so what do we got? We have an E. Then on the space we would have an F. Then we have a G. Then on the space we would have an A. Then we have a B. Then on the space we would have a C. Then we have a D. Then on the space we would have an E. Then we have an F. Okay? So, here once again, it starts with A. A is neither the start of your natural scale nor the starting point on your written staff. It's just that way. I don't know why. I can't explain it. It could be probably a lot more rational, but this has been handed down from untold generation to untold generation. And finally, if you want to know where the letters of the alphabet would lie on the staff in their alphabetical order, their A through G alphabetical order, they would start right here is A, on your line is B, on your space is C, on your line is D, on your space is E, on your line is F. Sitting on the top line is G, and we have to add a line to give ourselves A. So that's A, B, C, D, E, F, G.